Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Sri Sri Radha Vinodihari Mandir in Sri Gopinath Bhavan, Vrindavan. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sripan Guru Guruvarga ki jai, Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Sachidananda Gaur Hari ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Vinodihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Hari Naam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Dandavat Pranam. So we'll be starting today, as we do every day, with Mangalacharan. It's page 1, Shri Gauriya Giti Gucha. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam.
Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Namine Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Odaya Madhurya Gunashta Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shirasam Namami Trivandiram Bhakta Shirovarincha Shri Krishna Pada Jagataika Hridi Chaitanya Leela Sarasaram Narayanam Tvam Satatam Prapadye Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshavarine Namaham Vishnupadaya Gaurapresthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyano Keshavariti Namine Ativakyaksharithraya Sashritanam Chapadine Jivaduhe Sadarataya Shri Nama Premadaya Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Vaikaya Kripabhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana स्वरूपानुगमरायते गौराविर्भावभूमिस्थं निर्देष्टा सज्जनप्रिया वैष्णवः सर्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतां सुरतोपङ्गो मम मन्दमते गति मत्सर्वस्वप्रदं भोजो राधामनमोहन दिव्यवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमदं श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्री श्रीराधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो प्रेष्ठाभिः सेव्यमानं स्मरामि श्रीमन्त्रसरसारम्भी वंशिवततस्थितः कर्षन्तेनुस्मरगोपी गोपीनाथ श्रेष्ठनः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयतैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं गुरुवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मसमनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनं हरेर्नाम हरेर्नामेव केवलं करुणस्त्येवनस्त्येवनस्त्येवो गतिरन्यथा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya, page 32. G-U-R-U-D-E-V-A, Gurudev. With Kripa Bindu Diya, K-R-P-A. Kripa Bindu Diya Kirupe Pahilo Seva, page 45, starting with K-I-R-U-P-E, Gurupe. Kali Rupa Sharira Nadharka. Y-A-M Y-A-N K-A-L-I Rupa. Page 47. Goswamipada ki jai. Yam Kali Rupa Sharira Nadharata. Yam Kali Rupa Yam Kali Rupa Sorry about that. They thought it all shut off, so I was a little distracted, but it appears it's still going. Okay. Our Gurudev loved this bhajan that we just sang, Yam Kalirupa Sharira Nadharata. It's not working. Would you like to take this?
No. You need to sing.
Yeah, but I'm not able to. Okay. Our Gurudev loved this bhajan, Yam Kalirupa Sharira Nadharata. Every time we would go to Terkadamba, which is just at the foot hill of Nanda Gaon, Nanda Bhavan, just down from there, close to Ashisheshwar Mahadev. There's the bhajan stali of Srila Rupa Goswami, and it is the halfway place between Yavat and Nandagaon, where Srimati Radhika would cross through with her Sakhis on the way to Nanda Bhavan to cook for Krishna. So Rupa Goswami, he would do his bhajan in that place. And it is the place where we've heard of this pastime where Rupa and Sanatan, they were relishing the transcendental pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna. And at that time, Rupa Goswami desired to offer Sanatan Goswami, whom he considered as his Shiksha Guru, something. Maybe I can offer him some kheer. So the desire came in his heart. But then they continued speaking, relishing the sweet pastimes of Krishna. After some time, one young girl came there and said, I have brought some ingredients for you, you can make kheer. So she brought all of the ingredients. She put it down next to them, but they continued speaking and glorifying the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. After quite some time again, she came and she prepared it herself, and she placed the kheer in front of them. And they still continued remembering and glorifying the pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna. When they were finished, finally, after such a long time, then they realized, wow, look, we have beautiful kheer in front of us. And they began to honor that prasad. Taking that Mahaprasad, they realized this is nothing ordinary. Immediately all Ashtasattvic bhavs manifested on their body. Tears were flowing, hairs were standing on end, they had goosebumps. Their whole body was trembling from this experience of this prasad, and they realized this is nothing ordinary. Then Sanatan Goswami said to Rupa, Hey Rupa, did you desire anything at all? And he said, previously I desired, maybe I can offer you some kheer. And Sanatan Goswami said, do you not realize who that was? That was our Swamini Srimati Radhika. Do you want that she should serve us, or that we should serve her? And Rupa said, we want to serve her. And so Sanatan said to Rupa, you should never have any desire in your heart. Don't have any other desire other than to serve her. So in this place, Rupa Goswami manifested so many of the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna as directed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and as he was blessed by all Vaishnavas on the order of Mahaprabhu. All of the sweet pastimes manifested within his heart, and he was given that authorization to compose Rasa Grantha. It means all of the scriptures full of transcendental rasa, the nectar-laden pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So from this place, our Gurudev would always have this bhajan sung. And he would glorify Rupa Goswami, that if he had not appeared in this world, who would have known anything? Yam Kalirupa Sharira Nadharata Tam Braja Prema Mahaniti Pitorika. Who would have known anything about the prem of the Brajabasis for Krishna? Without him, we wouldn't have known. So we're completely indebted to him. Who would have known about the nature of that love and how they served Krishna? Without Rupa Goswami, we would not have received all of this transcendental information. So we're completely indebted to him. And especially because we are coming in the line of Rupa Goswami, we are aspiring to become Rupanuga Vaishnavas, carrying the shoes of those true Rupanugas upon our heads, the dust of their lotus feet. We are praying in the dust of the feet of Sri Rupa. Sri Rupa Manjari Padase Mora Sampara Se Mora Bhajana Pujan. The Rupa Goswami, or as Sri Rupa Manjari, same personality, they are the goal of all of our practices. Everything. All of our vrats, all of our tapa, all of our bhajan, all of our puja, all of our chanting of mantras, all of our chanting of Harinam. is to somehow attain the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Rupa, who will engage us in the service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswamipada ki jai. Nitai Padakamala, page 58, Nitaipadakamalala. Nitai Padakamala. Gauranga Tumi More Doyana Charina. Page 78. Gauranga, Gauranga, Tumi, Tumi, More, More. Vajahure Mana Srinandanandana Abhaya Charanarandare. Page 137. Radhika Charana Padma Sakala Shreya Sadma Jatane Jai Nahi Aradhilo. Page 102. Radhika, R-A-D-H-I-K-A, Charana, C-A-R-A-N-A, Padma. 102. Srila Bhaktivedanta. bottle of water?
Sure. Do you want me to get some electrolytes?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Oh, electrolytes. It's really cool.
Hmm? It's on here. Maybe. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktāya Tadbhaktāya Namo Namah Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Nama Om Vishnupada Radhika Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times at the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja. In the same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Astottara Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, to all of our Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas, past, present, and future, including all of those who are with us today, my Dandava Pranam. So before continuing with going beyond Vaikuntha, we had a couple of questions. One question was that so many times we find ourselves becoming excited in bhakti and then not excited, then excited again, then not excited. How do we remain consistent and how do we become strong so that we don't go through these waves? And I think this is something that most, I'm going to use the word aspiring devotees, because any real devotee even considers themselves an aspiring devotee. I just read a quote from Srila Prabhupada today where he spoke exactly that. I'll just share that quote with you. Let's see, I shared it with one devotee. There, where is it? Okay. Srila Prabhupada said in December 22nd, 1975, one cannot call himself a devotee, but servant he can call himself always. So generally we like to refer to ourselves as devotees. I am a devotee. But if we really check our pulse, if we check our heart, how much devotion, not just time, energy, but how much devotion with love and affection are we giving to Krishna, and how much are we giving to everyone and everything else of this world? Then we can see what we are really a devotee of. So this is something our Gurudev encouraged us regularly to think about. He would always say, check your pulse. So we can see how we are in our own practice. We can call ourselves aspiring devotees. I pray that one day I may become a devotee of Krishna. Even the gopis think they are not devotees, because Krishna says, I always remain where my devotees are, chanting my glories. And they're always chanting his glories, but they feel, oh, he has left us. In deep separation, they feel we must not really be his devotee. Although they are the greatest, highest devotees of Krishna, still they're feeling we cannot really be his devotees. What to speak of us? What to speak of us? One time we heard that Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj was one devotee who was staying with him, aspiring devotee who was staying with him. And this person was witnessing his activities and behavior over some long period of time. How adept he was at serving Thakurji. How much faith he had in his Gurudev. And so this devotee, this aspiring devotee was there and was watching his nature and character. And after quite a long time, then he came to the conclusion and spoke it to Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. That after seeing your character for quite some time, I have understood and ascertained that you are Kanishta Vaisnava. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj threw his arms in the air and said, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. This is the best day of my life. I never thought that in this life I would be counted among Vaishnavas. This is the first confirmation I have received that now I have entered into the fold of Vaishnavism. So he took it like that. What kind of humility is that? So we can look at ourselves and say, I am a devotee. But just to say it is not enough. As I mentioned previously, one time our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta, Narayan Goswami Maharaj asked one devotee, what does this mean to you? You just chanted this prayer, Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. What does this mean? He said, oh, my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. And our Gurudev said, have your eyes been opened? He questioned, have your eyes been opened? Because it's easy to say it, but we can actually check, have my eyes been opened? And the devotee was like, well, aspiring devotee will say, he was like a deer in headlights. And Srila Gurudev instructed him that instead of saying, my eyes have been opened, because if you think your eyes have been opened, but they really have not, then you won't endeavor for that to actually take place. So he said instead, make it practical and real for us, where we're at. Apply that prayer to our current condition. Instead of saying, my eyes have been opened, which we know is a lie when we look at ourselves, then we can say, when, oh when will that day come? When my eyes will be opened by your mercy. Srila Gurudev explained it like this. So instead of making the false claim, we should make it our prayer. And he instructed that we can apply so many verses and bhajans in this way. In a prayerful mood, when, oh when will that day manifest in my life? Instead of saying, oh when I'm chanting Hari Nam, I am feeling that everything is blissful in Goloka. Like Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he has experienced this. And you can hear this in the bhajan, Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukul. Grihete Goloka. He said, my house is turned into Golok, the transcendental realm. So he's experiencing this thing. But if we are going through the waves, sometimes inspired, Utsahamai, woo, I'm such a good devotee, look at all of you. You should do what I do. Then we should know that that is Utsaha Mai, or false enthusiasm. Because what is the real symbol of bhakti? It is synonymous with humility. Srila Gurudev always spoke this also. To the degree that one develops in bhakti, to that same degree they will develop humility. And that is not a false kind of thing. Humility is also a transcendental thing. Just like Shraddha. There's ordinary faith and then there's transcendental faith. Paramartika Shraddha. Ordinary faith means I believe something. Transcendental faith is something which is, you can say, descending. And same with humility. It is a function of associating with those divine personalities who are in themselves truly humble. In the same way that Shraddha, or faith, is a Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Gohe Sudrida Nishtoy Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarvakarma Krita Hoy, is the firm conviction that just by endeavoring in the process of bhakti, that automatically all my obligations and duties and responsibilities and debts and everything are taken care of. Automatically. And it is symptomized by the characteristics of Sharanagati. This is Shraddha. That I will only accept what is favorable for developing bhakti. I will subsequently reject, or simultaneously reject, all that is unfavorable for attaining bhakti. Krishna is my only protector. Krishna is my only maintainer. I am offering myself completely at the lotus feet of Krishna. My everything, mind, body, words, everything in relation to this ego, everything I'm offering at the lotus feet of Krishna. I am giving up my independent mood and I am giving my full loyalty. First and foremost, applying at the lotus feet of Sri Guru, and Guru will qualify that, purify it, and then offer it to the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. And the last one mentioned there, what is it? Karpanye. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyatiti vishvaso goptritve varnam tatha atmanikshepa karpanya. Karpanya means with deep humility. Deep humility. This is also a function of sadhu sangha, by associating with those who have deep humility themselves, who are feeling themselves lowly. So sometimes we're riding high on the feeling that I am doing so well, that I am great, and that others are low. And then we go low. And then we're feeling depressed. I'm hopeless. If it can't work for them, how can it work for me? I should just give up. I'm not feeling anything. It feels like I'm just chewing on dry sand. Nothing is there. Oh my God, does this process really work? I mean, if that one who is so great and so high can't do it, how can I do it? Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Maharaj said, we are fighting a war against Maya. And on this battlefield, so many great stalwarts like Bhishma and Drona may fall flat on the battlefield. But if we just stare at them going, oh my God, look at what happened to them, and we don't continue the fight, then what will happen? We will also get knocked down. So we have to take shelter of our comrades, those who are sajati ashai snigdha sangha, like-minded, those who are moving toward the goal. Take shelter of others. Make someone another commander, and let's keep moving forward, keep moving forward. We cannot give up this fight against Maya. So many great stalwarts, he said, may fall. I remember Gurudev saying once, we were in Mathura, Keshivji Gaudiya Math, he said, I have seen thousands come and go. I was like, wow. What is it? And this is the excitement that one gets in bhakti. Their sanskar, their impressions, and their sukriti, their spiritual merits, allow them to go so far. And it might be from past lives. And they're just able to run, surf on that wave of bhakti from all of their previous sanskar and sukriti. I like to see it kind of like last life, we were digging a tunnel to get to the other side. And Krishna's digging the tunnel from this side. In Switzerland, we've been in the Gotthard tunnel, which is like 27 miles long. And it goes underneath the mountains. So we may have dug the tunnel so far in this life, or the previous lives. We've come to a certain point. And then this life, we start from the outside of the tunnel. And we're able to easily traverse through that tunnel to a certain point. And then we hit the wall. It's not finished being dug yet. Then what? Then the hard work begins. We get the pickaxe out, the shovels, and we start digging. And it's very tiring. And then we think, oh my God, it was so easy before. I was flying through this like a rocket, and now I hit a wall. Now what? But if we take the instruction of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, Srila Prabhupada said, it is a science. If you follow the process, you will attain that goal. Our Gurudev would always say, don't be hopeless. Don't be weak. Be strong. Don't give up. They're all telling us this. If you follow this process, if you just follow my instructions, then this very easily will disappear. This wall in front of you. Yes, it's hard work. Our hard endeavor is necessary to melt the heart of Krishna. if we don't make any endeavor, if we don't try, and if we feel I already have attained the goal and I have not, then how can we expect that mercy to flow? We can say mercy has no qualification, but there is something, and we have felt it ourselves. If you see any dog that looks really healthy and he's running down the street and fighting with other dogs and he's doing well, then you'll be like, okay, he's okay. Yeah, he might need a little food here and there, but he's okay. But any decrepit dog, really sick, very weak, full of mange, you can tell he's full of worms, his eyes are full of just swollen, and he's so hungry and desperately seeking. You'll want to give him something. This is the nature of compassion and mercy, and he's desperate and begging and needy. If we don't feel that we are needy, then we won't make the endeavor to attract the attention of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said we should not try to see Krishna. Rather, we should be in such a way that Krishna will want to see us. That means our sadhana must be there, our hard endeavor. Like Mother Yashoda, she was trying to bind Krishna. First she tried with the ribbon from her hair. She could not bind him. Then she tied one rope to that and tried. She could not bind him. And then another rope for tying cows. And like all the ropes in Gokul, she tied together. And she still could not bind Krishna. She was desperately trying, but every time, it was 2 fingers too short. 2 fingers means cheshta and kripa. Cheshta means our hard endeavor. This mood of do or die. I must do it. Even if it takes my entire life, I will never give up. I will never give up. This is nishtha. Nishchaya. Utsaha nishtaya dharyat. So enthusiasm must be there. Determination must be there. Patience must be there. If I have not received that today, then tomorrow for sure. Like Srila Bhakti Balak Tirtha Goswami Maharaj. He said when he's chanting, or he was saying how we should chant, on one beat, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Wow. Krishna did not manifest during this mantra. It must be that something held him up. For sure and certain he will manifest in the next mantra. Hare Krishna, with that kind of deep hope, that kind of contemplation, that kind of expectation, and that kind of determination, and also patience, going from one mantra to the next to the next. Like the gopis, they're maintaining their lives on the hope that Krishna will return any moment, because he promised them, maybe even years before, but he promised them, I will return within 2 days or 4. If he said, I will never return, they would have immediately given up their lives in that moment. But he said, I will return very soon. So they were worried. If he returns and he finds that all of us are gone, all of us have left this world, what kind of heartbreak will it bring to him? So let us suffer this burning agony of separation in such a way that it does not bring any difficulty to him. We will burn in this hell of separation, but let him be okay. So they're only maintaining their life for this purpose. So Mother Yashoda, she's trying to bind Krishna, but she cannot. It was her hard endeavor, where she finally made a vow to Srimad Narayan, I swear to Narayan that I will bind my son, even if it takes my entire life, I will not give up. Our Gurudev explains in Sri Damodarashtakam that by this firm resolution, Krishna's Kripa Shakti, his mercy potency, which is more powerful than Krishna himself, covered Krishna. Because Krishna allows, he has given license to his energies to cover him in Vrindavan. So even though Mother Yashoda's Vatsalya Prem is so great, Krishna was worried, what will happen if I cannot go play with my friends? Then they'll all be worried for me. I can't let her bind me. I have to go with my friends. I have to go with my friends. And what about the cows and the calves? They'll also miss me. So my mother cannot bind me. So his desire to remain unbound was so strong for their sake. And her desire to bind Krishna was so strong. I must bind him, even if it takes my entire life. And I swear that I will never give up. Do or die, Gurudev would say. He said that's what, when she would churn the yogurt, and her bracelets would be making this sound, and the yogurt pot making this sound, bloom, 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 and ch, 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 like a kirtan, like mridanga and the kartals together. He said this churning sound, the sound in that is dik dham, like the mridanga, and that means that do or die. I will never give up. I will always make this strong endeavor. So by this strong endeavor, Krishna's mercy potency, his kripa shakti covered him so that he could no longer fight it because it is more powerful than him. It was her hard endeavor, her cheshta, with that intense vow, her vrat, that I will never give up until he is bound. With that intense endeavor, mixed with Krishna's mercy, kripa, that is the other finger. These two fingers, was two fingers too short. What brought the ropes together? Her hard endeavor, and then the mercy which came according to that hard endeavor. By that she was easily able to tie him, simply with the ribbon from her own hair. Although it is said that his waist was no bigger than our fist, so small, so tiny, still, the entire universe is in him. So she was trying to bind, but she could not. But then we see, Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kundanam Gokule Prajamanam Yashoda Bhiyoluka Ladhavamanam Param Vrishtamaatyam Tato Drutya Gopya. By the ropes of her love, she was able to bind Krishna. So this is a very important lesson for all of us. How we can bind Krishna within the core of our hearts. As Sri Bilvamangal Thakur is saying, Braje prasidam navanita choram, chorangraganyam chadukula choram, aneka janmarjita papa choram, chorangraganyam purusham namami. That he is the thief of all thieves. This chor, Krishna, always stealing the hearts of everyone, stealing butter. Such a thief and such a cheat. But I will bind him within the prison of my heart and keep him there forever. Only the devotee can do this. It is confirmed by Sri Narottam Das Thakur in the bhajan Ebaro Kurunakaro Tumara Hriday Sada Govinda Vishnam. That Govinda, Krishna, is always resting within the heart of the Vaisnava. And Bhaktivedanta Thakur confirms it also in the bhajan, O He Vaishnava Thakur, Krishna se tomar, O Vaishnava, Krishna is yours. You have captured him by your love and affection. Krishna dite paro, O Vaishnava, you can give Krishna. Tomara Shakti Ache. This is certainly within your power. Why? Because they possess him. By their love, he is controlled. And he consents, accepts that they can give him. So we say to Sri Guru in the bhajan, Sri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma, Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoite. Guru makes Krishna appear within our heart. Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite. He will manifest Prema Bhakti in our heart. And by this, avidya vinasha jate, all ignorance will be destroyed. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashita. He gives transcendental knowledge of our relationship with Krishna. He manifests that within our heart. By the power of love, Krishna is controlled. So, how does this apply to the question that I'm going up and down like this? So many waves, sometimes feeling inspiration, sometimes no inspiration. then an inspiration again, then no inspiration. So this is the nature of most of us. Because we are weak, sometimes we have to work really hard, then we become dejected. So how do we avoid this? How do we avoid it? Really, the only way to truly avoid that is to somehow or other place ourselves in the direct association or following directly under the very able guidance of a pure, transcendental personality who is not subject to these waves. They are completely, always solid, saturated with intense, deep love and affection for Krishna. So that in itself, we can become hopeful, being in their association. That they cannot cheat me. They will never cheat me because there is nothing of this material world that can ever distract them or pull them. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested in this world and taught by his own example how strict one must be. We see how our Goswamis, who are above and beyond the rules and regulations of Scripture, what kind of vairagya, what kind of intense renunciation they exhibited. Look at Srila Kishori Babaji Maharaj. It said one time he desired to have some Mahaprasad kheer. And then he was saying, oh, you just want this for your own enjoyment. This is your tongue wanting to tasteless. Oh, my tongue, let me give you something good to taste. And then he put neem leaves in his mouth, very bitter neem leaves. And he would just take the mud of the Ganga or the mud of Jamuna. You eat this, tongue. You're always desiring to taste anything sweet or anything rich or anything like that. So he would chastise himself. Look at the intense austerity and sadhana of Raghunath Das Goswami. This personality is moving in and out of Siddha and Sadak Bhav. You can see in Vilap Kushmanjali. Sometimes he's manifesting his bhavs as a Manjari maidservant of Srimati Radhika. And then he goes back into this mood that I am a devotee praying for that. I'm an aspiring devotee praying for that highest goal, that highest aspiration. And yet we see his renunciation, the epitome of renunciation. He came from the most wealthy kind of family. Our Gurudev said in today's money, he would be considered trillionaire. And he was the only heir to that wealth. Of his uncle, his father, his whole family, he was the only heir. He gave up all of that. They tried to marry him to Miss Universe. Gurudev would always say, more than Miss Universe. He had no attraction whatsoever. What was his attraction to? Nitai Padakamala, Koti Chandra Shushitala, Jai Chaya Jagatujulai. Heno Nitai Vinidhai, Radha Krishna Paitane, Diridha Kauri Daro Nitai Pai. Taking shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Taking shelter of the lotus feet of Srimad Mahaprabhu. Taking shelter of the lotus feet of Swarup Damodar Goswami. And under their guidance, manifesting the most intense kind of tapasya, vairagya. Really, it was only symptomatic of his true vairagya. Vairagya means, in one sense, renunciation, but our Gauriya Guru Varga have given a deeper, more esoteric meaning to the word vairagya. If you split it in two, vai means special or speciality, and rag means deep love and attachment, attraction to Krishna. This is real vairagya. When you are so exclusively absorbed, one-pointed and focused on loving and serving Krishna, that nothing else holds any charm for you whatsoever. This is real vairagya. Yukta vairagya, transcendental renunciation. It's not really renunciation. It's actually intense attraction. In the same way as if, well, I've told this example before, but I'll give a different one. In the same way as if you had only horrible, rotten food to eat, or a fresh plate of wonderful Mahaprasadam. If you are taking that, then automatically that will be distasteful. You won't even think about it, you won't look at it, you won't want it, you won't meditate on it, you will only think of that positive thing. if you are absorbed in tasting Krishna Bhakti Ras, then when the opportunity for anything which is gross, of matter, of this material world presents itself to you, your lips will naturally curl with distaste and you will spit at that thought and you will stay very far away from it. How can someone who is absorbed 24 hours in tasting Krishna Bhakti Ras be attracted to anything else of this world? It's not possible. It is not possible. That's why Krishna uses the words in Bhagavad Gita, api chet, even if the theoretical impossibility were to become possible. That's what he's saying, even if. But it's not possible. It cannot be possible. There's no such thing as a guru that falls down. Not a real guru. Not someone who is the embodiment of Krishna's mercy. There's no such thing. So the point I'm making is we must take shelter of that personality who is above and beyond the possibility of falling down. If we want to be able to put our complete faith in their lotus feet. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he speaks about this. That if that person I was aspiring to accept initiation from, shelter from, was absorbed 23 hours, 59 minutes and 59 seconds of the day in Krishna, Krishnamoy, absorbed in Krishna. But even for one moment he was absorbed in anything other than Krishna, I could never voluntarily subject myself or supplicate myself to that person. This was his prerequisite for who is qualified to receive his adoration. And then he says, there is no meaning to surrender. If you think someone is bound in this world like yourself, your show of surrender is simply a sham. How is it possible to surrender to someone that you think is trapped in the well like yourself? How can they help you if they're also bound? Only the truly liberated can unbind or free the bound. So he speaks about all of these things. So for us, if we want to become free from this, then we must take shelter of that person who is that. Or simply akantic. It appears like this, means nothing can shake them, nothing can break them. I remember once Srila Gurudev said in Aberystwyth, in Wales, so many were saying so many different things about him, and these words, sometimes words escape from the mouths of the pure devotees. Sometimes. And you see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he said something indirectly. Only by securing the guiding grace of the current Acharya can you understand. Only by taking shelter of that person who understands the heart of Bhaktivinoda Thakur will you be able to understand the words of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There are those who have captured every word of his back and forth, who've memorized every single thing that he said without capturing the least bit of its true meaning. So he was referring to himself, and we understand that. Also, our Srila Prabhupada mentions something like this sometimes. He referred it in the Nectar of Instruction. He said, how can you tell the symptom of Uttam Adhikari? That so many fallen souls from throughout the entire world are taking to the path of Krishna Bhakti by their presence. So, of course, that is also a reference to himself. Because so many were criticizing him, saying, who is he? And he was revealing, well, look at the symptom. And then, we have our Srila Gurudev. So many were criticizing. And then he spoke these words, you can trust me, I won't fall down. Also, Prabhupada said something similar. He said something similar. Difference between us. He can be in a room full of persons who are scantily clad or without any clothes altogether, very beautiful personalities, and he will not be the least bit disturbed, whereas most of us may be very disturbed. Our Gurudev said, you can trust me, I won't fall down. Who can say these words? Who can speak these words? Many of us can speak it, but do we know? But he knew, I won't fall down. And we have seen his character. So to take shelter of such a person, to see their complete absorption day and night, without any spot on their character, constant absorption, Krishnamoy, 24/7, only diving deeper and deeper into the waves, Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Bhasi. Diving deep into the waves of Radha and Govinda's love and affection. Taking shelter of such a person, being under their guidance, maybe not being physically with them all the time. Sometimes we need to be at a distance so that they can test us and see, okay, when I'm not physically with you, what are you going to do? Like we have seen when this whole COVID mess came up, this whole thing, so many great Vaishnavas became so absorbed in meditating on that, and young people, devotees are saying, please remind us of Krishna, please remind us of Krishna. For all of these years you've been preaching to us about Krishna, to remember Krishna at the time of death, and now death is knocking on our door. And all you're doing is trying to convince me about something you read online, about whether it's a hoax or not, or this or that. Please remind us of Krishna. My family members are dying all around me. Please help me. So the test comes. What are we going to do? How are we going to apply our energy in the service of Krishna? How are we going to protect the dignity of our sampradaya? How are we going to defend the message of our Gurudeva and our Guru Varga? Or how are we going to apply our energy? The test will come to us. So I'm making this point because this is also part of it. We might not always be in the direct association of Guru, of that sadhu, but we should always feel their presence with us and be in their guidance. So there's some considerations. Is what I'm doing going to be pleasing to my Gurudev or not? Maybe yes, maybe no. We should always have this consideration. And then more than that, will it be beneficial to my Gurudev or not? Gurudev said we should apply this verse, Anyabhilashita Shunyam, wholly and totally at the lotus feet of Sri Guru. So I spoke about it the other day. What might be instantaneously pleasing versus what might be beneficial. This is something. What is the intention of my heart? What is the consideration of my heart? What is the most important thing? I will sit Gurudev next to me. Will I do this? Will I say this? Will I behave like this? Then we should ask ourselves deeply, check our pulse, and move accordingly. If that answer inside our heart is a very strong yes, still because we're conditioned souls, we might make a mistake. But if our intention is to serve and please Gurudev, not only for his pleasure, but for his benefit, if that is our intention, then Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat chantim negachitim konteya pratijanihi name bhaktya pranashyati. If that is the intention, then Sri Guru in the heart and Vaishnavas will quickly remedy the situation, will correct the problem, and will engage you in the process of bhakti. If the answer inside is a very strong no, and we decide to go ahead anyway, knowing that this is not for Gurudev's benefit or his happiness or pleasure, then we can expect negative results. We will find ourselves in a very uninspired way on the path of bhakti. We will find ourselves completely dejected. We will find ourselves depressed and feeling like, what happened to me? Because I have done something that might be directly opposed to what is pleasing or beneficial to my Gurudev and my Guru Varga. So we can always question ourselves and test ourselves. What instruction has my Gurudev given me? And then we should move appropriately in this life. Of course, so many instructions are there, and sometimes we have to try to balance to the best of our ability. Some seem almost opposite. Be careful. Avoid the association of Mayavadis, Sahajas. Avoid the association of atheists and those who are gross sense enjoyers. And the next one, don't see anything in anyone. Let anyone do whatever they want. Only look at yourself. How do you balance these two instructions? Oh my God. They're both given to us. Accept what is favorable, reject what is unfavorable. Both things are given to us so that we can make informed choices in terms of what will be favorable for the development of our bhakti. Only accepting the positives and not knowing the pitfalls is also very dangerous. And only absorbing oneself in the pitfalls but not accepting the positives is also very dangerous. One must accept the new diet and reject the bad old diet, lest we become more and more sick. So both things are necessary. Accepting the favorable and avoiding the unfavorable. As our Gurudev would say, to that thing which is opposed to bhakti and unfavorable, pranam forever. Like that. So now I've been speaking for quite a while about this subject. I hope that I was able to shed some food for thought on that subject. To always be under the guidance of, or to follow the instructions of, and if we cannot be directly under the guidance of the pure devotee, then those who have received the association of that pure devotee, there are many senior Vaishnavas who are endeavoring and practicing on the path of bhakti. And then we can try to gain some understanding of the teachings of our Gurudev, as Ramanujacharya did. Although when he approached his Gurudev Yamunacharya, who had just entered Samadhi, he had approached him after he entered Samadhi, meaning his Gurudev had left this world, but his form was still physically present. At that time, all the disciples saw that when Ramanujacharya made his vows in front of Yamunacharya, Yamunacharya's fingers opened up in sequence in support of the vows that Ramanujacharya made. At that time, all of them realized this personality here is the authorized, bona fide representative of Sri Yamunacharya. He will be the next Acharya in line. Ramanujacharya didn't say, yeah, I'm the next Acharya. No. Very humbly, he went to each and every Vaishnava disciple of his Gurudev, especially those who had deep association with Sri Yamunacharya. He stayed with them for some months or even years and served them, learned from them what they learned from their Gurudev, to understand the heart of his Gurudev. And then after quite some time, then he accepted the role of Acharya. Hence, he became known as Ramanuja Acharya. This is also an appropriate way to understand the heart and the mood of Gurudev, that many Vaishnavas have received association. So let me take that association, let me accept that mood, the association of these Vaishnavas, to understand how to properly approach all of these subjects which my Gurudev has spoken about. So now we will enter into going beyond Vaikuntha, the Bhav Anubad of our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, on the teachings of Sri Sanatan Goswami, which manifested in the form of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So first praying in the dust of the lotus feet of our Gurudev and Sri Sanatan Goswami, with the words of Raghunath Das Goswami, Vairag Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnair Apayanam Mam Anubhikshamandam Kripamvadirya Paradukaduki Sanatanastam Prabhum Ashrayami. Begging in the dust of their lotus feet that may even a particle of their moods, which are present within these pages, manifest within our hearts. So Srila Gurudev is speaking about the difference between Madhurya and Aishwarya, and how the gopis have heard about Krishna's Bhagavata. Purnamasi, who's like the guru of all the Brajavasis, she said, he's Bhagavan. So they're like, okay, he's Bhagavan. So you have appeared in the form of Ram. So now we're going to hear about their awe and reverence for Bhagavan, except it cannot manifest. For Sri Ram, maybe, but not when it relates to Krishna. Not when it relates to Krishna. So instead of just glorifying Ram when it's related to Krishna, they are telling, oh yes, you were controlled by a lady because she made you go and get that deer. So you disobeyed the instruction or the warning of Lakshman. And then some other lady came, Shurpanaka. She offered herself to you. She was very beautiful. You rejected her and you had her ears and nose cut off. What kind of person is that? Oh yes. Oh yeah, and you came as Vamandev. Oh, very cute little boy. You approached Bali Maharaj. And he offered you what you wanted, which was 3 small steps of land. And then you took a massive form and claimed everything, the entire universe, and then rejected him, kicked him away as well. What kind of person is this? So the gopis are having this kind of mood. And Gurudev gave a few interesting histories, anecdotes, that Surpanaka came back as Kubja. I don't think he said it here, but I remember from Gurudev. And also the daughter of Bali Maharaj, when she first saw Vamandev, she became so attracted to him, she thought, oh, I would love to love him as my son. But then when she saw how he cheated her father, she became angry. And she said, oh, I want to kill him. So she came back as Putana, and with intention to kill Krishna, the daughter of Bali Maharaj. So, here Gurudev is saying, the purport of what the gopis were saying is that they knew that he was Bhagavan because they had faith in what Purnamasi had told them. But in spite of knowing that he was Bhagavan, still, his pastimes in human form were the dearest to them, and they became immersed in that loving sentiment. In the confusion of spontaneous love, they were saying that they would never be able to have an intimate relationship with him. This is an example of Madhurya Bhav. So in Vrindavan, it appeared that Krishna expanded into millions and millions of forms in the Rasalila. But actually, he did not assume more forms. So we've always heard or understood that he expanded himself into millions of forms. This would be Aishwarya. But in Vrindavan, even Vrindavan itself traps Krishna and does not allow that Aishwarya to manifest. Therefore, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has explained in his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, known as Sarartha Darshani, that there was only the original form of Krishna. And he danced with such speed and dexterity in the arena of the rasa dance that sometimes he would appear here, sometimes he would appear there. And so each gopi thought that he is dancing with me only. The example has been given of a firebrand. You know, when you swing, you have fire on the end of a rope, and you swing it around really fast. It looks like a solid circle. Same with electricity. It's vibrating in such a frequency. The electricity pulses are vibrating. There's a frequency there. We don't realize it, even on your mobile phones or your televisions or what have you. There's a frequency and it's vibrating so fast that the eye cannot detect it. It looks like it's a solid light. It looks like it's a solid picture. But when it says 90 hertz, 120 hertz, 67 hertz, there's a frequency there. The wave is coming. On, off, switching very fast. Alternating current. Alternating current. So it looks as if it is always on, but actually it's just vibrating so fast. It's going off and on, but it's vibrating so fast that it looks like it's always on. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is comparing here that Krishna is also like this, moving so fast and so dexterous that they all feel that he is dancing with me only. We've also seen this with the cowherd boys, when Krishna is sitting there eating with them. And it is written there in the Srimad Bhagavatam commentary and in the purports, that even though there were hundreds and thousands or millions of cowherd boys, Krishna is sitting there eating with them, but yet they all feel that he is eating with them, individually, directly, sitting with themselves. And this also we experience, I'll give you a good example. Sometimes Gurudev will give some chastising words from the Vyasa asana. We're all sitting there looking up at him, and he'll say something like, "Oh, those who are doing this, they are nonsense." We're all sitting there going, "Ah, Gurudev's talking to me, how did he know?" And each one is looking at the other person, and we're all like, "How did he know what's going on inside me?" We think he's talking to me directly. How is he talking to me directly? That same one Gurudev, his eyes are darting around the room very fast, and we're all seeing his eyes look at us, and then we lower our heads in shame at that moment. He knows, he's seeing what's going on. He might stare in your eyes and gaze for a long time. You're like, he sees everything like an open book, and it's almost frightening because we don't want him to see what's there. We've all experienced something of this. Those who sit in front of Sri Guru, and he'll say one thing, and that same one instruction applies to everyone, and we feel his presence. Or how? There's one sun, but we all go outside and we all experience the sun. Right? Millions and billions of people can all go outside and all connect with that same one sun, and we think that sun is touching me. And we have our own personal relationship with the sun. It affects me a particular way. In the same way, each and every gopi was feeling Krishna is with me directly. And all of those cowherd boys were feeling Krishna was with them directly. He is dancing with me only, appearing like a stick that is burning on one end. Oh, okay. A stick that is burning on one end and being waved in a circle. With inconceivable speed and dexterity, he was moving amongst them in the circular formation of the Rasa Lila. So, Krishna is moving so fast that all of them are feeling he's with me only. We have seen dancing actors in our village near Varanasi who would perform for 4,000 or 5,000 rupees. One of these dancers would stack pot after pot with plates between them on his head, and on top of everything would be a plate with many candles on it, dancing in such a way that not even one item will fall. He would move with so much speed. It was incredible. So if an ordinary man can dance like this, then how can Krishna dance? In any person we might see some amazing feat or activity. Anyone who is exhibiting strength, immense strength, oh, how attractive are they? Anyone who is exhibiting brilliance, knowledge, anyone who is so beautiful, how attractive are they? Everyone wants to know about those who have all these qualities. Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashashashriya jnanam vairagyam. Knowledge, detachment, anyone who's completely renounced from everything of this world. How attractive is that? Everyone wants to know about that person. Anyone who is extremely famous. Anyone who is extremely wealthy. Krishna has all of these qualities to the maximum extent. That is the definition of Bhagavan. Full of all transcendental qualities. So full of all transcendental qualities. Krishna has all qualities, more than any other avatar. Even the 4 extra madhuris. Not 60 qualities in Narayan, 64 in Krishna. Rup madhuri, the sweetness of his beauty. Kandarpakotikamaniya vishesha shobham. Unlimited cupids just faint at the idea of his beauty. How beautiful is Krishna, that if you can collect all of the beauty in the entire universe into one particle, that would not even equal one particle of dust on his lotus feet. How beautiful is Krishna, Gurudev said. All of these qualities, to the fullest extent, appear within Krishna. And that's why he is known as Krishna, means the supreme, all-attractive personality. So if any ordinary human can do some amazing feat, then what to speak of? Krishna. So if any ordinary man can dance like this, then how can Krishna dance? One and the same Krishna was dancing amongst millions of gopis at the same time with inconceivable speed and dexterity. This is madhurya, what is suitable for Nara Lila. So instead of seeing that he has expanded unlimitedly, it might be seen like that in Srimad Bhagavatam, from the perspective of Shukadev Goswami, who is speaking to Maharaj Parikshit of Mathura. He's of that family. They have knowledge of Krishna's Bhagavata. They understand that he is God. But the Brajbasis, from their perspective, and this is the interesting thing, from an external perspective we might see it like that, but from the Brajbasis' perspective, they cannot see it like that he has expanded himself in so many forms. Otherwise, the madhuryata, or the sweetness of this Nara Lila, would be finished. They cannot see it like that. So how are they seeing it? They're feeling it, that he is only dancing with me. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he is explaining it. He is a Rasik Acharya. Rasik Shiromani, the crest jewel of all Rasik Acharyas. And he is explaining it like this, from the perspective of Brajabhav. For those who want to enter into this process, this path of Rupanuga Bhakti, they will have to eventually see it like this. Otherwise, you cannot progress on the path of Madhurya, or sweetness mood, to be able to enter into Vrindavan proper, to enter into the bhavs of Vrindavan, and enter into the Braja pastimes of Krishna. One cannot. And Mahaprabhu says, Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas, the topmost worshipful form of the Lord is Krishna in Vrindavan, the son of Nanda Baba, the beloved of Vrishabhananandini, Vrindavaneshwari, Srimati Radhika. The topmost place, worshipful place, is Vrindavan. The topmost upasana, or method of worshipping Krishna, is that of the Vrajagopis. Ramyaka Chidupasana Brajavadu Vargena Yakalpita. The moods of the Brajagopis, love and service, the kind of complete dedication and surrender that they offer to Krishna. This is the highest upasana, the highest form of worship that is the most pleasing to Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is emphatically declaring this point, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has composed that verse which I just quoted, stating in the very end, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu matamidam tatradaro nappara. This is the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there is nothing beyond it. I love that sentence. So, Gurudev is saying that Krishna moving with extreme speed and dexterity, this is madhurya, and that is suitable for Naralila, or human-like pastimes. I'm almost finished with this chapter. He assumes separate forms in Dwaraka by Aishvarya. So he has actually expanded himself by the potency, or Aishvarya potency. He has actually expanded himself into 16,108 separate forms. And he's relishing these pastimes with his queens. And Narada Muni has witnessed all of this. And you can see this in Srimad Bhagavatam clearly. But in Vrindavan, it was not Kaya Vyuha. Means he had not expanded himself into millions of forms to dance with the millions of gopis. It was not Kaya Vyuha in Vrindavan. In Dwarka, yes, Kaya Vyuharu. So many exact duplicates of himself, all working independently in relationship with his Dwarkavasi devotees. But in Vrindavan, it was not Kaya Vyuha, incarnations or expansions, but the same one Krishna moving amongst the gopis, causing each gopi to think, he is dancing with me only. This Madhurya is not present in Vaikuntha. So Gop Kumar was not satisfied there. After taking his pulse, and we were talking about taking our pulse, also Guru takes our pulse. After taking out his pulse, Narada Muni said, it is a great thing that you desire. Therefore, I must help you to understand the higher points of tattva. For going to Golok, it is necessary to know all of this. So this is a quite interesting statement, because sometimes we think, why do I need to know all of these things, all of these higher points in tattva? Why can't I just jump ahead, skip all of the tattva and just jump into Brajaras? Because that's not the process. It's a scientific process. Srimad Bhagavatam first establishes that one must know the tattvas. The first 9 cantos, starting with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Tonvayadi Taratas Charteshva Vigyasvara Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Et Surya. Very deeply going into Bhagavat Tattva, showing all of the incarnations, showing his manifestations as Vishnu and that Vishnu and the next Vishnu. Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Paramatma, all of the avatars and all of their pastimes, establishing the Bhagavata. Then when you see all of that, then you come to the Braj pastimes and it's, oh my God, Aho Bhagyam, Aho Bhagyam. How amazing is this, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purnam Brahma Sanatana, is playing like an ordinary child in the courtyard of Nanda Baba. Baba, how greatly fortunate are these Brajavasis. And then, by associating with Braja Rasik Vaishnavas, Tishthan Brajetat Anuragi Jananugami, by that association, gradually, the mood of madhurya, the mood of sweetness, the mood of intimacy and affection will begin to develop, knowing of his Bhagavata, but to such a point that one day we will have to forget that. And we will only think Krishna is our dearest beloved. So Gurudev used to say that I have come to tell you that one day you will have to forget that Krishna is God. And it's true, one day we will have to forget. If we want the qualification to enter into the Braja Leela pastimes, the Naravat human-like pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, then we will have to forget that he is God. And even if he shows his Aishwarya, his majesty, we cannot be disturbed by that. Otherwise, we're not qualified to enter into the Braj Leela pastimes. So both are necessary. First, for us to have an understanding, and then gradually to forget that. If we just try to jump to the top of the tree, Gurudev said, if you try to jump without following the process, he said, then in that process, you may fall and you will break your arms and legs and crack your head. He said, so very, very carefully, one step at a time. And Gurudev was expert at making picturesque motions. He started walking, he said, like the inchworm or caterpillar. He said, 1 foot down, firmly fixed, and then moving forward with the back foot. Then the next one down like this. And he was walking this inchworm down his arm like that. So, for us, it's important and imperative that we follow the process from the beginning. And gradually we develop that mood. It's not that we should not have that goal, but we should not neglect the foundation. If we neglect the foundation, then we will see what will happen. We will see that there will be so many difficulties in our spiritual life, so many fall downs, so many mistakes, so many problems will manifest. And we will think, what happened to me? What went wrong in my... I jumped to the top, and now look at me. So we can just place our feet firmly on the ground, and then hold on tightly to the instructions of Sri Guru, and move accordingly, following the scientific process which they have given us, in order that gradually we may attain to perfection. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Rupan Guru Varga ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
You may have to answer David's question
Oh,
tomorrow.
okay. Sorry, I didn't see any question. Okay, we'll read the questions today after this class, and then tomorrow we will answer your questions. Sorry, I didn't notice that earlier. Thank you.
And can you just announce this beautiful fan?
Okay, so many of you may have noticed something. Before we do this kirtan, I'll just tell you. See this? This is known as a pankha. It's a fan. So fans are used in the summertime, in the warm time for Radha and Krishna. The peacock fan is generally actually considered to be for another purpose. It has deep Rasik meanings, which we won't talk about now. But this pankha is meant for offering a cool breeze for the pleasure of their lordships or their sweet ships. Because they're very sweet. Shri Radha and Krishna. So it was made by one devotee, Indumati. She was seeing every night the beauty of Shri Radha, Krishna, Sachinandan Gaurahari, Radha Vino Bihari, and she became inspired and she made it with her own hands to offer to them. So we will fan them after. Thank you, Indumati Didi.
They were wondering what it was.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. निरूपान गौरी गुरुवर की जय पति पावन श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सच्चिदानंद गौर हरि की जय राधा बिनु बिहारी जी की जय राधा रमण जी की जय गिरिराज महाराज की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय गौर भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति बोलो राधे 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 जय 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 श्री राधे 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 जय 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 श्री राधे 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 जय 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 श्री राधे श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय 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 श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे श्याम श्री गुरुदेव की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे
हरि हरि बोल
Dandava pranam.
Dandava
We look
pranam.
forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Thank you so much for your participation. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.